We are recording.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Okay, call to order the City of Sumner special council meeting. The date is November 30th and the time is 6 p.m. As a reminder, council members and staff are attending the meeting virtually. City Hall remains closed because of the safe start order by Governor Inslee, consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. The meeting is open to the public via the Zoom link, which is on our website, and call-in information is posted also. With that, Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Potato.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Hayden.
Here.
Hochstetter.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
All council members are present, and thank you for calling or for showing up to the meeting, and glad you had safe travels, Councilmember Peterson. That we have special council business tonight, which involves resolution number 1570, which has to do with interlocal agreement between Pierce County and Sumner. And I would call on Councilmember Hochstetter for a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve Resolution 1570, approving an interlocal agreement between the City of Sumner and Pierce County related to the funding and construction of the Stewart Road Corridor Improvement Project and authorizing the mayor to execute the same in a form as approved by the city attorney.
Thank you, Councilmember Hochstetter. Could I get a second by Councilmember Newman?
Strong second.
Thank you for the strong second, Councilmember Newman, and for finding that unmute button. With that, I would call on Public Works Director Mike Dahlem. Go ahead, Mike.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Tonight I bring before you Resolution 1570, interlocal agreement between Pierce County and the City of Sumner relating to the Stewart Road Corridor. In 1994, Pierce County established North Lake Taps Corridor, which established the Stewart Road Corridor as a county arterial. In 2002, the city annexed a portion of the county between basically East Valley and the west side of the White River. Prior to the annexation, we entered into a pre-annexation agreement with the county, where the county agreed to help fund and construct the remaining corridor improvements. Improvements were constructed between East Valley and the White River, leaving just the White River Bridge as the last piece of the improvements that need to be done. In 2014, the county took the position that the pre-annexation agreement was invalid due to procedural errors that occurred during the signing of the document. Through the agreement I'm bringing to you tonight, the county agrees to fund the project by donating all the land, Pierce County land that we need for the right-of-way, and they're also contributing $4.26 million towards the project. And also the city agrees to be the lead agency for all the acquisition, design, and construction of the remaining project. Staff recommendation is to approve the resolution 1570 between the City of Sumner and Pierce County related to the funding and construction of the Stewart Road Corridor. I can answer any questions that you may have.
Mike, could just point of clarification, you said there's procedural errors. Were those procedural errors on Pierce County side or the City of Sumner?
Pierce County side.
Okay. Okay, and just for your information, several of us attended the Pierce County Rules, and I can't remember the total title of that committee, but the Rules Committee. and where they voted to move this issue onto the regular Pierce County Council agenda, which will happen on, I believe, the 8th. Isn't that correct, Jason? Okay. So anyway, that's the only thing I wanted to add, add to it, other than I mentioned this to the council members, Pierce County council members in the Rules Committee meeting, is that it was, back in the late 1990s that I actually had a tour of the Lake Tapps Parkway project, and it was done by then Pierce County Council member Harold Moss, and he took me and the County Public Works Director on a tour. And I don't know why I was involved, other than I knew Harold, and he says, "Hey, we should go look at this thing. It's pretty cool." Little did I know that we'd be still dealing with issues in this corridor here in 2020. Of course, we'd be dealing with them in 2020. So anyway, it has a long history, and looking for good questions and comments back from the council. And of course, if you pass this tonight, then we'll see what happens with the county council. Still requires them to approve the agreement. Any questions or comments the council members have? Councilmember Potato.
What is the total cost of the project? Because if they're giving 4.26 million, that sounds like a good start, but it's probably not enough.
It's a good start. The total project's about $30 million. The original agreement had them paying 71% of the local share. Typically, the local share is 20% of the grant funding. So they were paying 71% of that 20% grant funding.
Thank you.
Councilmember Newman, go ahead.
Sorry, I was about to hit the official button in case I wasn't on your screen. I would like to thank both city staff and the mayor for resurrecting this and bringing it back to life. I feel like it's almost Easter. I just want to thank you for that. And to be fair, to also thank the county administration. It's really easy, I think. I guess having worked on other transportation projects, the source of the impact is not always the place of where the area or the area of impact is located. And when it's easy to ignore when it's not in your own jurisdiction. So like, I've been singing staff and the mayor's praises over this, but I was thinking about it. It's like, I think we all owe thanks to this current administration for being willing to accept the impact, like to acknowledge the impact that unincorporated Pierce County has on some of our own interchanges and bridges and roads and whatnot. So anyway, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mayor, all that. And also thank you, County.
Councilmember Newman, comments duly noted and the appropriate. It's one thing for us to be raising this issue. Staff has been raising it for years and years and years, and their pleas have fallen on somewhat deaf ears, both from an administrative standpoint and also a political standpoint. And for the current administration to propose this settlement and for the county council members, and particularly the chair, to agree to move it forward, takes courage on their end, because they're not the ones that created the situation that we're in. It was past administrations, and but they're trying to get us to some resolution, which is very much appreciated. Other council members, questions or comments? It's only 6:09. We got 6 minutes. Oh boy, quiet group. Either that or you got the TV on next to you and you're keeping track of the game, which I don't blame you. Okay, I'm going to ask if there's anybody that is attending the meeting that would like to address the council on this issue. And if you do, I can't remember, wasn't it star 9? And you will be recognized and you can address the council. I see some familiar names. I don't know if any of those are really wanting to address the council on this issue, but I'm giving you that opportunity. So anybody would like to address the council on this issue? Okay, seeing none and seeing no more questions or comments from the council, I would ask Michelle to please call the roll.
Newman,
Here,
is that a yes?
yes. Sorry, I heard roll. Yes.
Hayden,
I'll vote 3 yeses.
thank you. Peterson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Hochstetter.
Yes.
Okay, council member votes unanimously to approve resolution 1570. And thank you very much for doing that tonight. And we'll find out in a week and a day as to where the council is, with this. So thank you again very much. And staff, thank you for all your hard work. With that, the meeting is adjourned at 6:11, and we will resume the study session in another 4 minutes. Okay, so my phone says Seahawks 1 touchdown lead.
Michelle? Is Michelle on there?
No, she left.
Well, she has on the roll call Earl Stewart.
Oh, which one?
On the study session one. So who's she missing then?
She must have pulled from a really old form.
Yeah, so she's
She's-
just missing Charlotte.
She's missing Charlotte. Good catch, Cindy.
I'm often lost.
Uh,
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, sorry about that. We review them, but can't catch everything. We'll make sure that doesn't happen again.
we'll try to make sure it doesn't happen again.
They
I'll make
don't
sure
call-
this particular thing never happens again.
Okay. But they don't call me Eagle Eye for nothing.
Boy, I tell you.
You know, Andrea and I pour over these packets and we look at a whole bunch of other details that obviously we
Never
need
looked at the
outlined.
roll call.
I feel bad because I look over the thing too, and I didn't catch that one. Usually I catch the weird stuff, not this, straightforward stuff. I missed it too. Okay, we're still, let's see, Jeff, we still recording?
Yeah, we are, and it's currently 6:15.
Right, that's why I was asking.
You're good to go. Let's continue going. How about that?
You're quick tonight. Okay.
Try.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the City of Sumner City Council study session. The date is still the 30th of November and the time is 6:15. And again, as a reminder, that the council members and staff are attending this meeting virtually. As City Hall is closed during the Safe Start order from Governor Inslee, result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And the meeting again is open to the public via the Zoom link and the call-in information, which is posted on our website. I would like to note that all the council members are present, including Councilmember Newman. And with that, we have a lot of stuff to go through tonight. So just giving you a fair warning. And we're going to start out with the Sumner Main Street Association presentation. And I think I'm supposed to call on the Executive Director, Jill Starks. Is that correct, Jill?
Yes. So how do we go about sharing screen? Do I click on it or does
Yeah,
someone?
Jill, if you click on the share screen button at the very bottom,
I
should be
just-
green. Then you can select which screen. And while you're doing that, I'll just give a brief introduction here. We've asked Sumner Main Street Association to come tonight and give us an update on all the things that they've been working hard on this year, including their name change. So this is the Sumner Downtown, formerly the Sumner Downtown Promotions Association. And with that, I'll turn it over to Executive Director Jill Starks. And also with her here tonight is current SMSA President Suzanne Kipfer and incoming President Jolene Jones. So take it away, Jill.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pugh and council members and city staff for this opportunity to provide an update on what we have been up to. For those of you that I haven't met yet, either virtually or in person, my name is Jill Starks and I'm the Executive Director of Sumner Main Street. It's my understanding that yes, back in August, we gave a presentation to some city staff. And at that point in time, we were asked to come and do a full presentation for city council. We've been busy since then. And so we've changed our presentation a bit and added quite a bit to it. So this presentation is a modification of what we presented back in August. Joining me tonight is our current president, Suzanne Kipfer, and incoming president, Jolene Jones. And Suzanne will start us off.
Okay, again, just as Jill said, I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunity to tell you what we're all about. In getting this presentation ready, I realized that we should have done this a long time ago, but no better time than now. So I wanted to start by saying in 2015, a group of merchants in Sumner got together with the sole purpose of making Sumner better. And by better, I mean better partnerships with stakeholders, better community involvement, better events, although we kind of had the events thing down, but we just wanted Sumner to shine like the diamond it was, and we felt we could do a better job. We wanted a calendar of events, things we saw as necessary tools to keep people coming to Sumner and staying in Sumner. So with that said, I wanted to also say that all of our founding board members, the four of us, served on the SDA, the old organization board, for many, many years, decades, in fact. So we weren't new to this kind of organization, but we definitely had new ideas. And I love this quote here from Mr. Rogers that you can see is, even though something ended, something really wonderful began. And it's been a work in progress, and I'm really proud of where we've come. And so it's really a positive thing. So I wanted to just touch base a little bit who we are and what we are. I wanted to talk about our new name, Sumner Main Street Association. We wanted a new name for two reasons. One is Sumner Downtown Promotion Association is a mouthful. And it seemed like hardly anybody could get it right. And we also wanted a name that better aligned with what we are all about, what we're doing. We're a Main Street. We're trying to make Main Street strong and vital. And so we felt like Main Street, Sumner Main Street kind of says, when someone says, hey, I'm from Sumner Main Street, you kind of know we're a group of people working downtown on Main Street and helping to improve that district. So we came up with our new name and we said, okay, let's not stop there. How about a new fresh logo? So the logo change was perfect because I think it's hip, it's fresh, it's great. The new logo, branding ourselves as Sumner Main Street with a little nod to our heritage there with the daffodils and the light poles. We have made a couple changes to our mission statement, and I will just tell you I'll just say it real quick so everybody knows. The Sumner Main Street Association works to stimulate economic growth and revitalization, enhance beautification, nurture historic preservation, and ensure the vitality of downtown Sumner. Now that's really it in a nutshell. We just want to make it good all the way around. And we, also, I wanted to say that we have a brand new website, SumnerMainStreet.com. If you haven't checked it out, be sure to check it out. It's absolutely wonderful. We're still working through a few things, making it even more perfect, but it's pretty darn sweet. So we'd love for you to check it out. And we're working on getting, updating and getting as much information on there as possible. So, check it out. With that said, I would like to introduce, which she already kind of introduced herself, to Jill Starks, our new executive director. And honestly, I'm so excited with all the things we've done. One of the things I said a lot over the last few months, and I said to myself many times over the last years, I think we threw the seeds of this group in the ground. Many of us worked hard to grow this fantastic tree trunk. And now it's time for us to bloom. And I thought to myself, what could we do to make this bloom? What changes do we make to see this fantastic growth on the top of this tree? And getting Jill Starks as our executive director was, well, amazing in every sense of the word. She comes to us with a lot of experience from the Philip Main Street Association, and just with the wherewithal to run this organization incredibly. So, and I wanted to introduce Jill. Some of the things, as many of you know, we just became a Main Street community. This is our third year applying, and we were accepted this year. So we're very excited and very proud of our efforts. And one of the things we needed to share and show was all the work we had done and had been working on the 4 points of the Main Street approach: outreach, economic vitality, design, promotions. We had been doing all that, maybe not calling it the perfect thing, but we had been working in all those areas. And I will tell you this, as far as outreach is slash fundraising, and I wanted to share with everybody a couple things about our fundraising. We have worked hard to be independent and to be sustainable, and we have recently taken the time and effort, and I could just go back and get a master's degree easier, but we are applying to be a 501c3. We're nearly done with the process and just getting the finishing legal touches on it. And with the 501c3 status, we would be able to accept donations, and just gives us better access to grants and things like that. So we have worked hard on getting that 501c3, and fingers crossed that will be coming in the next couple months. We didn't receive any assistance, PPP or otherwise, with COVID, partially because we didn't have an employee at the time. We hadn't hired Jill yet. So there was I think we just fall into a niche where maybe the COVID relief wasn't there, but that's okay. We're okay. We cut our expenses, and of course our profits were cut as well, but we're hanging in there and we're doing great. We also have been a lot more aggressive in going out into the community, looking for community sponsors and talking about what we can give them in return. So if it's a partnership and they're helping us financially, what can we do? And really tailoring every single donor, every single sponsor, tailoring what they need and making it work for both of us. And so we've worked hard on that. We've come up with a sponsorship policy, which I think is great. We've worked hard to reach out to new members. We serve over 90 businesses downtown, and we have a lofty goal of increasing our membership by 20%. And you know what? Doggone it, we're going to do 25. So there, that's what we're going to do. So we're on our way to getting that done too. And we've also made a really huge effort to partner with our community groups, I guess you would say. And Jill said it great one day. She said, we're not an island, you know, we're a group of islands. And we worked with the food bank. Every time we have an event downtown and we can incorporate some kind of help or relief for the food bank, we do it. We are currently, we have our jars on the counters here. We're collecting money for the Sumner Police Department Toy Box program. I have 80 some dollars, so I'm pretty excited. So I don't know how everybody else is doing, but we really like to help out when we can. We've partnered with the Rotary. The Rotary helped us beautify Sumner last summer and help us clean up the downtown. And the Lions Club is always a partner. So that was one of our goals, is to set out and enhance those relationships. And I think we've done a good job of that as well. Being a Main Street community also gives us access to the B&O tax funding program, which I won't go into detail because it's pretty complicated. I might mess that up anyway, because I don't have every single bullet point right. But it does allow us to tap into B&O funds from businesses like mine who donate for the good of our community. So I still get to use most of those funds to pay my B&O tax, like a little bank I've set aside, but I can give it to the downtown too. So this is a tremendous opportunity for us. And this has been something we have seen as the biggest step to being sustainable. And so we're there now, and we're really excited to get that program off the ground. Economic vitality, I just wanted to touch on something that during COVID, we haven't lost a single business downtown. Not one business has gone away. We're really proud of that. We actually, when the COVID first started and some of us could stay in business, we collected money for those who couldn't, and we distributed those funds. We're really a family downtown. We're a team, and we really worked hard to ask what was needed, get things that were needed to people. Any effort we could help to make sure everybody could be open, we did. And I think that also in the face of COVID, in the beginning of COVID, in came Soleil Day Spa, 512 Apparel, and My Pampered Life, all in the last few months have come to town. And so I think they've all had a great few weeks now. So this is very encouraging. And also, we have had an outpouring of people who are interested in bringing their business to Sumner. So, of course, who wouldn't? Sumner's the bomb. So you know what? People want to come to Sumner, and we see that all the time. And I'm going to let Jolene talk a little bit more about that, because she knows a little bit more about that. We also participated, as many of you know, in the Open in Sumner campaign. We wanted to get right on opening up and letting people know it was safe, and we were open, and we paid for that program to get off the ground. So I think that was a lot. We really worked hard to help each other and, hold each other up during this crisis. And as far as design goes, in the face of COVID as well, we pulled off a fantastic beautification program, Light Up Main. And you might all see the fantastic lights on the buildings now. Thanks to the city partnered with us on that. We were able to use some LTAC funding, and Dale Loseth, he took charge of the program. We're very grateful for Dale. And this has just been fantastic. I noticed when I was driving home the other night, leaving town a little bit late, I looked in my rearview mirror and I said to my husband, man, look at Sumner. Does that just not look beautiful? That is so fantastic. And it just looks alive, whether the stores are closed at night or not. It just looks fantastic. So and here I see on this sorry, let me get back on my track here. And I also wanted to talk about the beautification. We planted $700 worth of flowers downtown last summer. I think that was fantastic. It made, if any of you walked downtown by Alderman, Maine, it looked fantastic and beautiful and made us look super alive. We appreciated that. The Rotary partnered with us and paid for those flowers, and we got them planted. And Fred Meyer gave us a discount. It was just good all the way around. Everybody wants to see Sumner shine. So that is something. And I also wanted to share with you, I know that the city is concerned, we're concerned about events that would likely spread COVID or are deemed unsafe. And one of the things that I've used this word a lot, we've all used this word a lot, but one way we pivoted is we really focused on in-store events, like retail shopping events. And we felt this was of the greatest need to the downtown stores as well. But stores can put, they're policing, they're making sure their stores are safe. But we felt that was a safer option to continue to keep Sumner in the spotlight without bringing masses to one location like a sip and stroll does or something like that. So, and we're still pivoting. You know what? We're going into the new year, pivoting every other day, looking for new ways to make our community alive and bring people together in a safe way. So we're working hard on that. And one of the things that one of the promotions group is branding this year. And we have, I guess, a marketing campaign, Meet Me in Sumner. And we're going to go forward with that campaign, hashtag Meet Me in Sumner, on our social media platforms, on some printed materials, and maybe even some banners, but Meet Me in Sumner. We hear this a lot, and I hear this a lot in my own store where people say, hey, I'm meeting my girlfriend down here. Have you seen someone like this? People get together in Sumner. And I heard a lot of it this weekend. So we thought that was a great new branding campaign. We have our 2021 walking calendar of events and walking map. It's absolutely beautiful. I take hardly any credit because this is Ashley Krebs, Nicole Wilsey, and Jill Starks, and Jolene Jones. Jolene really fine-tuned the inside, the walking map. And we include everybody on this walking map, whether you're a member or not. This map is a tool for us to get people downtown and keep them downtown. So much for my notes, which are hanging right here. I just kind of off the cuff there. I hope I covered it all, Jill.
Thank you, Suzanne. One of the things that we wanted to stress is that the city has been a key partner and a key component as we move through COVID of this year. The building out of the parklets was huge. Light Up Main partner was huge. Support for the businesses during lockdown, staff participation that we've had on our Main Street committees, and sponsorships of our Main Street events. So here's our next quote. If we can find a positive amid a global pandemic, it's that we realize what people and places mean to us. And I think that's a very true statement. I think most of us have realized what our community means to us in a pandemic. And here my little box is there. I need to move my box. So here we are. A lot happened during 2020. We're still in 2020, but here we are today. Today, we've got three things that we're focusing on: our community Main Street designation, our diversifying our funding, and reimagining our traditional events. As Suzanne highlighted, we are now a community Main Street, and it gives us several benefits. Two that are the most important to us is it gives us access to the Main Street Tax Credit Incentive Program. And what that means is if a business gives us a donation, let's say $1,000 in 2021, in 2022, they can take off 75% of their B&O tax liability. So it's a huge win for the community, it's a huge win for the business, and it's a huge win for Sumner Main Street. In addition to that, we have access to additional training and support from the state. So that's kind of the highlight of the Community Main Street program. We're diversifying our funding. Like Suzanne mentioned, in the past, we have received over 50% of our funding from events, and that is something that has not happened in 2020. And as Suzanne also mentioned, we have not reached out, applied for, or received any of the COVID CARES money or any PPP. So far we've made it on our own, and we're proud of that. So to diversify our funding, one of the things that we're doing is we're adding an individual donor campaign. Mayor Pugh, you might not realize it, but you were our first Hometown Hero. We're out to get 100 people to donate $100. And so I would challenge the rest of the city council to meet Mayor Pugh's donation. There is a link directly on our website. If you go to sumnermainstreet.com and click on the donate button, it will take you right to our individual donation page. We are expanding our sponsorships. I think we're already into Plan C on sponsorships, and we're being extremely flexible. We're giving people the opportunity to sponsor not necessarily events, but activities. And we're looking at things like doing fundraising through like a silent auction at our annual meeting. So we're really trying. When I came here, we had 4 buckets where we were getting money from. We now have 8 buckets that we're trying to bring in funding from, because in this environment, this organization really has to diversify from an event platform. And then finally, we're reimagining our traditional events. We are moving in the present phase that we're in. We're moving from an event-based structure to more of an activity-based. And the focus is more on retail, about driving customers to our businesses, not over a very narrow period of time, 1 or 2 days, but a broader time frame, a whole month. So in December, you'll see several different promotions that will be rolled out this week that will cover the entire month. We're taking a look at Sip and Stroll, and we're the present phase that we're in, we're looking at a bottle pickup type of event. And again, we want to drive customers into town over a broader period of time and not just 1 or 2 days. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jolene, who's going to talk about 2021.
Thank you, Jill. Jill and Suzanne, great job. Mine's going to be pretty brief because they've covered a lot and done a really good job of explaining where we've been and here's where we're going. And goals for 2021, and there's a recurring theme here I hope you're picking up, is that we're partnering, we're working with others, we're expanding our reach and our resources by working with others. So under the outreach committee of our organization, that means building out additional partnerships. We're going to continue to work collaboratively with the city and enjoy that working relationship that we've got there. We're reaching out to others like the Arts Commission, which I'm happy to see that they're next up. The Puyallup-Sumner Chamber of Commerce, Rotary, and other service organizations, as well as the schools, and really expanding our reach beyond just the businesses that are in the core, but others that would like to get involved that are maybe on the fringe or up in the manufacturing district. For the design committee, we're evaluating the streetscape improvements in the built environment downtown and what that experience is for visitors. We're really excited to be part of the city's effort with UW-Tacoma's the Main Street Visioning Project. And so we're providing feedback, getting input, and we're really hoping that the results of that year-long study with those students produces some information that our design committee can use and maybe take some of those projects and run with them. For economic vitality, we are actively recruiting complementary businesses. We're working with potential tenants, and again, collaboration with the city is key here. A great example is we walked through a space with city staff to look at what is the highest and best use for this available space. And we really have a focus on wanting to bring more food vendors to the downtown to increase the number of food services down here and keep people here maybe later into the evening. So the city has been great at looking at those spaces with us. We can tell them what the permitting process will be like and what those improvements to the building means to the tenant and to the property owner. So that's been a great collaboration. And then for the promotion committee, it's remaining flexible. Like Jill said, having a plan A, B, and even a plan C going into 2021 to make sure that we're still attracting people to our downtown core and stay true to the Sumner brand. With that, we have some contact information here. We'd love for you to visit our new website, sumnermainstreet.com. Visit us on Kincaid Avenue, and our phone number is listed there as well. Thank you very much.
Thank all three of you. When I saw the Bachman Turner Overdrive up on your screen, I thought you were going to start playing it, and I said, "Well, things get a little lively here. That'd be cool." I tell you what, we've often talked about 2020 just being a wonderful year. You know, going from one thing to another, all of it on the negative side. And when you got this Sumner Main Street designation, you know, I said, thank God, here is a big item on the plus side. And, you know, it really, things like that make a huge difference, not only just in terms of your financing and your future, but just in terms of how you're dealing with getting through adversity right now. And nice job. Council members, comments, questions of Jill, Suzanne, or Jolene. Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate for the designation. I know how hard you've worked, and I truly can't wait to get back to normal in our downtown. I just think this is awesome, and I love the new logo. So good work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Okay, other council members, comments or questions that you have of any of the three presenters? Yeah. Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, a nice job. And I really enjoy the lights. Those are really awesome. Thanks.
Thank you, Kurt. Go ahead, Patrick, and then Barb.
Thank you. I just wanted to congratulate everyone as well. It is a lot of work, especially the designation. I'm familiar with that on the state side, and that's definitely a challenge. But it also has a lot of rewards that'll go with it that I'm happy to see. That and all the projects that have been going on, and my family and I went down Saturday and walked through town, and it was busy. There were people everywhere. Stores were busy. It was really fun to see.
Thank you, Patrick. Go ahead, Barb.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what is the area that this covers? Is it from the Traffic Avenue all the way to Valley? Is that, or closer?
Traffic, Wood to North, traffic to, is it Mead? That's just the other side of Wood?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
our area.
All right, so, and you have 90 businesses in that corridor? That's hard to believe that there are
90
that many.
businesses, and there are some outlying businesses that are members as well.
I was going to say, I think is the cannery involved in this thing, and I think that's a little bit further west than Traffic Avenue.
It is. There's lots of multi-tenant buildings down here, and looking at the walking map that Suzanne held up earlier, you can quickly see there are nearly 90 businesses in this core.
Cool.
And on the fringe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, nice work. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, Councilmember? Go ahead, Charlotte.
I am wondering if, first of all, great job on everything. I love how you guys are evolving and continuing to support so much of, you guys are actually a core reason why people like to live in Sumner. And so anyway, so just thank you for continuing to promote what you're doing. Do you have any data or anecdotal information on what helps drive people downtown in lieu of being able to have public events?
So what might bring someone downtown? I think number one, in Sumner, we have such a strong retail core. And when you look around, especially within Pierce County, there really isn't anything that compares to what Sumner has, because we are a small town. We're not a shopping district within a larger town. So I think that's the number one draw. I think secondly, people really want to support small business right now. And so I think that's why if you walked up and down Main Street and talked to various businesses, they're actually doing quite well, all considering. People want to support small businesses, but thirdly, they want to support businesses in a comfortable manner. And events right now, large scale events like Rhubarb Days, though we hope things will be different come July. But a large scale event like that would not feel comfortable to most people. And so we are focused on retail events that spread people out amongst the various businesses, where each business can manage the occupancy and flow. And one of the things that we're rolling out this week is a restaurant bingo, which encourages people throughout the whole month of December to visit various restaurants within Sumner and the surrounding areas, and not all in one day or one weekend. It will be throughout the whole month of December. So we're trying to encourage activities that support businesses. So we're not doing as much community building type events and activities, but more business building activities. Does that answer your question?
It does. I don't know if either Jolene or Suzanne have anything to add.
I do. I would say this. If you could, well, Patrick said he was downtown. I'll tell you what, I am feeling the love. This weekend, I've talked to several other retailers, Luann, Curtis, a lot of the stores around me, and the community and the outlying community came and put their arms around us this weekend and showed us how much we mean to them. And it was just, it gives me goosebumps to say that, actually, because we just serve, the people we serve are so fantastic and really let us know we matter. And I will say one other thing that's really different about downtown Sumner. When you go to a downtown core of retail businesses, they don't all get along, and we do. And that this is a really unusual component to us. Is the retailers downtown, we are all a family. We love each other, we care about each other. We understand the better each of us do, the better the other stores do, and we lift each other up. I am constantly saying, hey, I got these at Picket Fence, I got this painted, into Vintage. We are on each other's team. We're actively trying to help each other. And I think it's like if you go to a store, we've all been to a store where people don't get along and you know it right away, it's this bad vibe. Well, that's the opposite of Sumner. We have a good vibe, and people like to come to Sumner because it makes them feel good. We've got a lot of diversity in the stores, in the merchandise that we offer. I think people appreciate that too, but we all care about each other, and I think it shows.
I would add to that too, that in the environment, the experience of in-person shopping versus online shopping, people are looking for that experience in a safe fashion. And we've got the historic infrastructure down here that makes it really charming and a lot of fun to come and be able to park once and visit multiple stores and get that experience that you just can't always get online.
And I have two more questions before
Okay, go ahead, Charlotte.
I was wondering about this. So, oh wait, and before I get to a question, I want to thank Jill Starks. She helped put up wreaths downtown on Sunday. She joined some of the Rotarians and Arts Commission. Anyway, so I have to quick thank her. But in terms of, I think, and I'm sorry, either Jill or Suzanne talked about like people feeling safe, like offering up opportunities to shop in stores instead of doing the large public events. When people, so along that line, when people shop in stores, are stores still requiring masks and, of both of their employees and their customers? And are you guys passing on to members to insist on compliance for that?
Yes, it's definitely still part of the mandate that everyone wear masks, employees and customers. And we haven't really, I've been in every business down here. It's not something that we have to enforce. People are doing it, both customers and businesses.
Stores have made it, every store is unique, and I know you probably can't see it. I've got acrylic up at my check stand on both sides of my cash wrap. We keep hand sanitizer handy. We have signs that say mask up. So I think every store is doing their best to comply, and we're all masked up.
Thanks. And then my other question is, what can we do to help support, like we either as council or individuals?
Shop downtown.
I was just gonna say, come shop.
As we move into 2021, and we've had several conversations with staff, we're trying to approach each, we have our calendar of events, and if you haven't looked at it, we are planning 2021 like it was 2019. We have all our events on there, and we want to do some variation of that event. I think if city council and city staff, along with Main Street, can start at a place of yes, we want to make this happen, and then back down through what the regulations are. And if we get to a point where we say it doesn't make sense at all to do this event, that's fine. But if there's a way that we can make it happen, we want to try to make it happen. It might look extremely different than what it did in 2019, but in 2020, there wasn't anything. And I think we've been in this pandemic long enough, and we know how to reposition our events to be compliant within this structure that we're in. And so we just ask that the city be open, and that we have conversations, and they start with, let's try to make this work. And if it gets to, gee, this just doesn't feel right, then, we can
take it down and
we can do something different. But we really want to try to put forward some sort of variation of each event.
And I would say,
sorry,
I was going to say too, I know we said shop downtown, we always love your support, but the other thing is I'd love to see every council member be a hometown hero. And Jill mentioned it, it's $100 to be a hometown hero. Bill started, he's just always been such a fantastic supporter of all of us downtown. But you also get a water bottle. I had one here, but it's insulated, I shouldn't say water, insulated bottle that says I'm a hometown hero. There you go, like I'm a hometown hero. So you can, show that off to everybody and then you can get your neighbors and your friends and people to join. And you can join for $25 as a person or $50 as a family. And every little bit, I'll tell you, I don't think I've ever known a group that could stretch the dollar the way we can. And so every little membership counts. The third thing I would say is, let us know your thoughts. Share with us. We'd love to have you come to our meetings. If you have ideas for us, we're always open. Ways we can serve the community better. We're always brainstorming, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on ways that you think we could serve Sumner better too.
Is that it, Charlotte?
It is. Thank you, all of you. Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna call on Barb for one last question or statement, and then we're gonna have to move on. We scheduled about 20 minutes for this one. We're going on close to 45 or so. And we only have another 4 items on the agenda too. So go ahead, Barb.
Well, I just wanted to ask about the dining area that is between Jolene's office, the building that's open for all restaurants, or what is the idea behind that?
Yes, it is. Thanks for asking. That is open seating for anyone and everyone to take out, take a break. It's covered, open on 2 sides. It meets the governor's restrictions for outdoor dining. It is not associated with the Sumner Main Street Association. It was something that Justin and I did because the alley was unused, and we saw an opportunity to maybe help out the restaurants downtown and have some additional seating for them.
Okay, well, I think it's a great that.
Okay, well, I think that's it. Hey, thank, all three of you, for sharing, tonight. Like I said, the Main Street designation was one of those just wows, and you guys are continuing with your presentation night in the same form. And it's very much, appreciated. Your leadership is something to be admired and gives us all encouragement. And we look forward to great partnerships with you, because that's what really makes things happen. So anyway, thank you, and thank you. And next time we meet at a parklet down there, there's going to have to be food or maybe other stuff involved.
Or you could share.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for giving us this opportunity. I think we should have done it a long time ago, but we're grateful for the opportunity now.
Yeah. No. Okay, Patrick, go ahead. Make it quick.
Well, just to piggyback on what Suzanne said, is not only is this great information sharing, I would love to see it more frequently, whether it be maybe quarterly updates or something like that.
We, if we're not provided an opportunity, we plan on coming during, don't you have a 3-minute community comment at least once a quarter?
Okay.
Patrick, I'm sure that they would come more often if you were to be a hometown hero.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, we might come and award trophies or something exciting to.
Or at least one of those bottle things you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, well, again, thank you all three. You're more than welcome to stick around. Question your judgment if you do so, because the Seahawks are on, and just go enjoy.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 2 on regular business, which is the Arts Commission work plan. Jason.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a brief word before I turn this over to Mr. Windisch. This is on the agenda tonight because, earlier this summer, or actually, I guess it was late in the summer, there was quite a bit of discussion over the Arts Commission's role in our DEI efforts and making sure that we are creating a welcoming community. So staff felt that it was important that we get the Arts Commission and the council together to discuss what their work plan is for next year, and making sure that we have some congruency between what the council's goals are and what the Arts Commission's work plan is. So tonight is really your opportunity to help shape their work over the next year and make any other changes that you may want to see with the Arts Commission. So with that, probably took Ryan's first couple sentences out of his presentation, so I'll turn it over to him.
That's all right. Thank you, Jason. Ryan Windisch, the Community Development Director. And I'll be turning this over here in a second to 3 members of the Arts Commission to present the work plan that they've been working on. And they put together a work plan. Some things are going to look familiar to the council. And then there's also, no surprise, some new ideas that they're putting forth. They've been working hard on putting this together. And I think it's a pretty comprehensive look at what their next year will look like. And we're all hoping that, COVID gets under control and we can start having concerts in the park and that kind of thing in the summer. And we'll just have to kind of wait and see how that all goes. But it's in the work plan, so we're being optimistic there. So I want to introduce Michael Hochstetter. He's the Arts Commission Chair, and with him is Dustin Madden and Emily Browning-Cray, 2 Arts Commissioners that helped him put together the work program. So I'm going to share my screen and try to man the PowerPoint. See here. I'm getting it, I think.
Go.
Okay, so how's that look? Okay, take it away, Michael.
Okay, Ryan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Ryan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. I just make sure this worked. My name is Michael Hochstetter. I serve as chair on the Sumner Arts Commission. As Ryan has just said, I'm joined by two wonderful arts commissioners, and Dustin Madden and Emily Cray, who is the art teacher at Sumner High School. I have been asked to keep it as brief as I can, so I will. And then I guess if there's any questions at the end, if I miss something, we can hit it then. We'll start with our Arts Commission mission statement. The Sumner Arts Commission is a group of dedicated volunteers whose mission is to improve citizens' quality of life through the art experiences and contribute to the aesthetic environment of the city. I would just want to underline volunteers. We just have a wonderful group of volunteers that put in a lot of hours work out of the love of the heart, out of the love of the community, out of the love of the arts. We have many educators. I think probably almost half of our team now on the Arts Commission are teachers or former teachers. So they have that inclusive, educated spirit that teachers have, and they bring to our work. Many of them have done things out of their own pocket if it's a last minute thing to help make an event happen, and they're not afraid to do so. So they're very, very valued, and I want them to know that. Let's see, value of art to the community, economic growth and sustainability, social cohesion, cultural understanding, attachment and cultural identity, public health and belonging. I just would like to use an example, and that would be Nights on Rhine, the economic growth. After we did that last summer, or the summer before the COVID summer, the downtown experienced a new demographic. They saw millennials in their store, and they weren't used to seeing a younger group come, and that was really cool to see the synergy between the Arts Commission and then the downtown, and the growth that they saw there. The other thing is with the murals, and I'll get into that more later, but the murals have brought more attention and dynamics and vibrancy to the downtown. And we not only see that as art, but we also see it as a way to contribute to the economic growth and sustainability, social cohesion and cultural understanding. What binds us together? What makes us Sumner? Who do we want to be? Where do we want to go? What are those symbols? What are those symbols that are recognizable to us, that resonate as people who live in Sumner, has moved to Sumner or visit Sumner, and understand it as having its own cultural identity? And public health and belonging. This is something we really take seriously. And like you said, we have a lot of educators and nonprofit workers. How can we create places of belonging for our residents and for our visitors? And we really, really started focusing on that, and especially through the public art aspect, and that would be in the murals and whatnot, because those are signs and symbols that are signs of inclusiveness and are inviting people in. And so that is an important part. Next up, mural and public art. So the murals bring a dynamic and a creativity to the downtown. Social or shareable social media moments. Again, that is economic development. That is bringing people together for photos, whether it's a family portrait for their Christmas card, or they're sharing a picture with a friend to put on Instagram. Those are those moments we're trying to create. Commission one mural each year. Our goal is to keep it fresh. In the past, you've seen cities put up like historical mural, and there was a trend like that in the late 80s, early 90s. And then a lot of times, if they're not quite done artfully, they age in a way that doesn't keep much excitement. And so the way that we wanted to do that was keep it fresh and not have murals be up forever, but new ones go up. And so if there are ones that are starting to age, instead of worrying about paying what it takes to restore them, we're just going to paint over them, put something new and fresh. That way, that shows a community that's vibrant. It's more it's budget wise, it's more friendly to us, and it just keeps a vibrancy and a new element to where people want to continue to come down to see these large pieces of art. Unifying artwork that is inclusive and equitable. You may have noticed on the Spread Love mural that you see right here. This one went up during the time we were having the serious conversations about equality and justice, and you'll notice in this there's symbols that resonate with people, and obviously the daffodils are a cultural symbol to this area and heritage, but you also see a black hand with a peace sign, and you'll see the message of spread love, and those symbols are important, and they're invitations to be a stronger community together. The other one that's not pictured here is the bird mural we call it across from City Hall. That one has hops, that has daffodils as well. It has native birds, but you'll also see that they have the pride flag colors creatively put in there with the added Black and Brown Lives Matter with the stripes in there as well. And I think art can help move us forward and bind us together and create conversations in a healthy way. And I think that we did that with these murals. Utility box designs. This is something that the city actually dropped a bug in our ear about. They said they've seen other cities do it, and there's a lot of utility boxes, and there's maybe more utility boxes coming. Is there a way that we can make them fun and turn those boxes into some pieces of art? So this is a new thing we're going to look at. All right, next up, Music Off Main. Music Off Main. So I'm sure everyone's familiar with this. I think this is our longest standing tradition as the Arts Commission at 21 years now. Family friendly and inclusive. And I want to underline the equitable part of it with keeping these concerts free. That allows people of different socioeconomic statuses and backgrounds to feel welcome, and there's no barriers. There's no need to get a ticket. You can walk right up to the center of our town. And that I want to continue to fund this, obviously, and I have every reason to think so, to bring in artists that are, again, to gather people. High quality, variety, and diversity of artists. Some may remember there's a mariachi band that was great, and we're looking to do more of that because music and food and art are wonderful ways to bring people to the table that may not always be at the table with each other. And we're looking to do more of that through the concert series here. And then the winter concert series. This is a new idea. And some of you may have met Pastor Dion from the United Methodist Church, as I know he's been in on a couple of meetings. He really enjoyed the murals in town. And as the first person of color as a pastor at the United Methodist Church in the town of Sumner, we had a serious discussion about that. And he's thrilled to be serving in that role. And he really loved the murals and the invitations that they're given to our community. He said, how can our community at the Sumner Methodist Church contribute or help in any way? And then we got to talking and we thought, well, you've got such a wonderful sanctuary or beautiful space. It's one of the oldest spaces in town, probably the most beautiful space in town. Maybe we can utilize that for a concert series, a more of an elevated classical, traditional, maybe some choral music. And that would not only bring people to that beautiful space, but would also help us stretch our reach of events because we're very summer heavy. And this would allow us to do something in the winter. And we're looking at January 2022. So nobody get too concerned yet about getting people indoors because this won't be till 2022. But we thought it would be a better way to diversify our calendar and not be so summer heavy, but offer something in the winter as well. And then also holding it at a space like that sanctuary, that would allow us to keep the cost down because they're willing to help out on that, which is great. And now that item is unfunded. I'm just proposing this idea. I'd love to circle back around to it if it's a thing we can make happen. But again, that one is not actually funded at this time. Now I would like to invite Emily to talk about Nights on Ryan. Emily.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the events that we have been adding in the Arts Commission. And I know that we saw many of you here in 2019, where we put on our first activity of Nights on Ryan, where we had a total of 43 vendors that came, and we had almost 500 individual patrons that purchased. And just a fun little fact, one of our individual vendors made about $3,000 that evening. And as Michael had mentioned earlier, this was a art-based event that was really targeted at expanding our demographics of that are younger families and consumers in Sumner. And we saw a huge flux in individual participation in who we were bringing into the downtown area, and also trying to pair that with our concert series to create a moving through the town in our events, in our evening activities. And then up next, we have our Chalk Art Festival, which I'm very excited to talk about. So the Chalk Art Festival, our first year doing this was in 2019. And then we went virtual this summer with the Chalk Art Festival, which was really amazing because we actually doubled our participation in the Chalk Art Festival this year by going virtual. And hopefully you've had an opportunity to see the video we put together of the different art that was produced around town. And we're very excited about continuing this. And my vision being, of course, my evil plan vision is that I want this to be stretching all the way down Main Street, but ultimately also having that opportunity to also have a virtual portion to it, which allowed families, especially with young children, to participate and work around time frames that work for their family, naps, and exciting things like that. And so just a huge, beautiful opportunity to kind of create that beautiful art out in our community, and also just as you're moving around town and being able to see that. And my hope is that it gets much bigger. So very cool. And then lastly, this was something that was brought up as a proposal from the Arts Commission to really looking at what would an interactive family arts day look like, and how could we create something that would be interesting and engaging for children, but not what I like to call the I took my family to the kid event and I'm dying a little on the inside, but that's also engaging for me. Some of the things that we had proposed talking about this was pairing this with our concert series, obviously that no barriers to families as far as not having cost for participation, but also start bringing in some larger scale arts events. One thing that I've seen that was really cool is they did steamroller printing. So they had families make different prints, and then they would lay them out under a piece of plywood, and a steamroller would actually come over it and do the inking of the prints with families. There's different ways that you can do silk screening, where people can bring their own shirt in and silk screen, you know, the Sumner art logo or whatever they want onto the shirt, and really make it an opportunity to have a fun family-based event that was really exposing our families to different forms of art in a free and accessible way, and really expanding that opportunity to create community with some of our younger members. And then we're going to hand off to Dustin.
Thank you, Emily, Mayor, and council members. We have 2 items left, and the first one is Right in the Valley. And this item reestablishes a longstanding project of the Art Commission, and it's to increase the appreciation and the participation in the literary arts. And so the way that we're going to do this is that we're going to do a 2-pronged approach. One is a writing competition, and this is an all ages event that will be judged, and then winners will be established. And then the second is a speaker series with writing techniques. And this is a project and one of our work items that is important as it creates access to a medium that a lot of the community doesn't have access to in the literary arts. And so we want to continue to support that and to be a focal point of our mission. Next. Thanks, Ryan. The last one is the holiday decorations, and I saw the Sumner Main Street Association down there, and this is an event that we co-host with the Rotary, and it's sponsored both with volunteer efforts and with financial contributions. So we do garland lights, and it lights up downtown. We also do the gazebo at Heritage Park, and it allows and increases the cheer that we all experience when we go downtown. And then lastly, this is we just wanted to present our annual budget of $20,600. This has all of our long-standing events, along with some of the increases that Michael talked about with public art and the mural program. And with that, I think we moved through it quickly, so I will mute myself and open up for questions.
Hey, thank the three of you, and I know to some degree, I think you covered things through the DEI lens, in terms of what you're looking at doing. But Ryan, I don't know. I know we've had the discussion staff wise, and I wonder if you had any comments and stuff, and then I'll open it up to some council members. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I think the presentation did a good job of kind of showing what the Arts Commission does in reaching out and doing events and engaging the community on different levels of diversity, equity, and inclusivity. And it's not that more could be done, but we're trying to figure out in this meeting, at least get a sense of kind of the council's direction in that regard. I did a little bit of research on arts commissions and arts and cultural commissions around the Puget Sound area. And no surprise, Seattle is kind of out in front. They make it very clear that racial diversity and equity and inclusivity and those kinds of things are kind of some core tenets in their pursuit as the commission's goals and purpose. Other cities, not quite that specific, but then again, in Kent, their work plan was 2010, the one I looked at. So it was kind of, maybe catching up, but I can't imagine that other arts commissions and councils aren't having some of these same discussions. Obviously, and maybe it's not obvious, but the arts community and artists in general tend to be more kind of progressive, if you will, more, I guess, open-minded, accepting a lot of different variety of folks. And so I think it's kind of in the culture, right? We have a 15-member arts commission, and I would guess that they would all kind of describe themselves as being more on the progressive end of things. So, what does the council see the arts commission's role in this? It could be everything from, we need to specifically say, this is what the arts commission's doing, or we want an arts and culture commission, or we're headed in the right direction. Keep trying to include more diverse offerings when it comes to Music Off Main. When the murals are created, like we've done with the murals, they need to be inclusive. I mean, there's different ways to go about this. And so we're just trying to get a sense from the council, to what we want to be headed in whatever direction the council's expectations are, because the last thing we want to do is maybe a year from now kind of reevaluate what got done and not have met expectations. So with that, I'll turn it back over to council.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Jason, do you have anything to add before I open it up to council for discussion?
No, I think Ryan hit it exactly right. Our biggest concern is we want to make sure that the Arts Commission's work plan matches council expectations now, so they don't go doing a bunch of work and get redirected in June or July.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Okay, I got two hands raised. The first one is Kathy. Go ahead, Kathy, and then I'll call on Melanie.
Yeah, I want to thank all the volunteers, all the arts commissioners. You do great work. I appreciate everything. I do hear a lot about the events and all of the offerings, the concerts and that, and it's really, really one of the main things that people comment about. And I also want to say that I do appreciate that you have a lot of different areas, something for everybody. So keep up the good work. I'm pleased. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Go ahead, Melanie.
Thanks. Ditto to that. Thanks for all the great work and the volunteer hours and the amazing work that you do with the budget that you have. That's really impressive. And I would say to Ryan's question around what the focus should be or what it should evolve to, I think every committee, commission, and department now has a charge to include DEI items in everything that they're doing. So I don't think that it's something that we need to be parsing out to one committee or another committee. We need to make sure that this dedication shows up everywhere in the city. That's all.
Okay, thanks, Melanie. Go ahead, Barb.
I really appreciate the growth that the Arts Commission has made in the last few years. I served on it for, I don't know, 10 years or probably more, but I think that one concern I do have is it seems like the meetings tend to be limited on a certain time limit. And with creative people and people that are spending their valuable time for the city, is I think I'd like to see their meetings to be expanded a little bit more, because I've heard that concern from somebody on the commission. And, you know, you don't come up with these ideas in a vacuum, and working together is really important. So I just am glad to see the, you know, like the murals. At first I thought, you know, a few years ago, our whole mission was to have historical murals, but hey, it's another time. So, you know, I think it's your idea of having them for a limited time instead of thinking they'll be up for 20 or 30 years is a good thing to do. And then I was just wondering about the one that was paid for by the a business. Did they have any direction from the Arts Commission, or did they just choose that design on their own? So.
Thank you, Kathy, Melanie, and Barb. To answer Barb's question, that was not an Arts Commission mural.
I know it wasn't, but
Yeah.
did you give them any ideas of what you'd like to see?
No, the Arts Commission didn't play a role in the building owner's property on that one. No, we didn't.
Okay.
And nor was it funded in any, that was private project that wasn't funded in any way.
Yeah, I know that, but I just, you know, it just seems it's fitting into sort of the direction that you would like, you know, the artwork to go.
Barb, I agree 100%. That I think that's what happens when you start to get out in front and set a culture like the Arts Commission's done, where people start joining in. And I've asked the Arts Commission not to look at themselves as curators or controllers of what is in the city. I asked us to look at ourselves as ambassadors to inspire people to get on board with us. And that, to me, that was a fruit of the work that we've seen as Arts Commission, to see someone else pay for it. And it almost looks like it was one of our projects. So I was happy about it too.
Yeah, well, nicely done. So thanks.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
I have two like relatively quick comments. One, I applaud you guys for the whoever came up with Right in the Valley for like expanding your mission and the traditional role of what Arts Commission had, anyway, for including like making it even broader. And as that event and whatever it is evolves, I would encourage you to see if there's also ways to like say partner with the downtown like bookstore. Like, you know, you can come up with creative partnerships that way where everyone there's mutual benefits. And then in terms of equity, again, like we won't always achieve it, but I always want the question to be asked. And as you move forward, I would encourage you to not just think about who is in attendance, but like every step of the way in terms of your process for selecting artists or musicians or speakers, whatever it may be, but who's involved in identify, like, and I don't know the process, so we don't have to get into that detail right now, but from every step along the way, who is selected, like how is a person selected, what's the pool, what's the outreach for bids and proposals, and who is deciding that, and the entire contract process for vending, as well.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte. Other council members? Go ahead, Cindy.
Well, I certainly think that the Art Commission is headed in the right direction. I think they have really broadened the scope, and I think just getting a few, I'll just say younger people on there has helped bring the newer ideas to the table, which all the commissioners love the new ideas and love to flesh them out with people. And as always, a lot of times the ideas may have been brought up 10 years earlier, but they weren't quite the right time to do them. And the experienced members can let the others know, well, this was the pitfalls, so let's just work around this and let's see if we can pull it forward now. But as to Charlotte's question on how the artists have been picked, there's always been an open call, and lots of different artists apply. And I know in the early years of the commission, they did a sort of always tried to make sure they had maybe a little bit of more ethical based one, maybe one towards other culture. Just, they always tried to have a good variety and not just go with, what is it, when you just play favorite songs of people. They've always tried to stretch people's visions or what they would enjoy, because they may not know they will enjoy that. And we learned a lot of that when we had sheets that people left their opinions. They would say, oh, when I saw the title, I didn't know what I'd think of it, but once I got here, I loved it. So the Art Commission is the place where they can expose people to new things. And I think they're doing a good job of moving that forward. They do have a limited budget. I think I can't believe how many partnerships they have pulled together to make that budget stretch as far as it is. So I would like to see over time that budget to slowly be increased so that we can take on more projects and have different subcommittees pull them off. So, but thanks to all the volunteers that stick with it and keep that part of our city a vibrant community group. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Cindy. Other council members?
Mr. Mayor, can I reply?
Sure, go ahead, Michael.
Thank you, Council Member Mom Hochstetter. You've definitely taught me a lot when it's come to the Arts Commission. I know you and Barb did so much in the formation years. I would like to say about the ideas coming up, and Councilmember Botetto said it. Yeah, we need to be creative. That's the only way we're gonna separate ourselves with great ideas. And I will say there's something about ideas coming back around and getting a chance to discuss that. When I brought up the mural project, I think there was quite a few people that were looking at me like they wanted to strangle me. And actually, one of them actually did say, when that came up, we talked about that 5 years ago, and it was a nightmare, and we didn't know how we'd restore them. And then we got in all this debate on this and that, and end up not anything happening, and we couldn't accomplish anything. And I said, well, let's give it another try. And we did. And not did we see one mural went up, but 2 from the Arts Commission that were involved, but 3 just in 3 months. And at first there were people who said, that's not going to happen. We've tried it before. It's just so hard to accomplish. So anyways, yes, that. As far as the budget goes, I would like to ask, and I don't know how this works, but with some of the budget, like the Nights on Ryan, it's $1,500 allocated to that, and that's 3 nights. The street closure alone is about $500. So just in the street closure fees, that eats up our whole budget. I don't know if there's a way for the city, because it's a city-sponsored event from the Arts Commission, working with the Public Works, to where we just don't take the money out of the pocket of the Arts Commission, then put it into another pocket, and it's going back to the city. And I understand there's complicated dynamics that need to be respected, but maybe there's a way that the city can work with this, because I know we've done it with Music Off Main with waiving the closures of the street fees. Maybe if we could do that, that would allow us to stretch our dollar much further and serve more people than paying to close the streets for these events all the time. So I don't know if I can get an answer for that, just something I'd like to put out there. Maybe we can figure out a solution.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're going to get an answer tonight on that one, Michael, but it was a nice try. Boy, I understand the issue, and money is always, a problem and an issue. And it's something that, you've heard support from some council members of increasing the budget, something that budget in the year 2020 has not been a good thing, and it's a lot better than we thought it was, but it still hasn't been. I was going to make some summary comments, but I see that Melanie has another comment to make. Go ahead, Melanie.
Thanks. My comment around that is, I just hope that we can treat everyone equally, right? If we have a policy, then that's how we treat all the committees and commissions. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Melanie. Okay. I don't see any other comments. What I've heard, and you're talking to somebody, this is an engineer by training. Okay, so when I look at the people in the Arts Commission and I say, God bless them, because what you come up with and what you've done compared to what this guy's brain could do just is a marvel to me. And you've shown, or you've talked about the examples, tonight, which we've seen happen, and it was just too bad that we're dealing with the 2020. But even with dealing in 2020, you've come up with ways to still have those same type of events, and it's a credit to your creativity and your commitment. But it gets to like the DEI issue. I've heard a couple council members, I think, made some pretty good comments on that. Melanie says so what we should be all be doing is looking at DEI, looking at our programs, activities, and everything else through a DEI lens. It's part of what we should be doing throughout the various city programs, and the Arts Commission is just one of those. And then the other one that Charlotte made that I asked is it's a question that needs to be asked. When you're thinking of doing something, thinking of some type of event or some type of Arts Commission activity, it's a question that needs to be asked. And both of those things, struck with me. And Jason, I'd look back to you and Ryan to see if, I don't know, any other comments, any other questions you have in terms of trying to get some clarity on Arts Commission roles and responsibilities?
I don't have any, Ryan. Do you?
No, I don't have any either. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Cindy.
The only small suggestion I would have would if we added the word cultural in the Art Commission's name, that might allow volunteers who were joining to understand that it isn't just about painting, or, maybe it would broaden the scope of the look, but I don't know. I don't want to make the name a mouthful either, but it's just a suggestion.
Okay. Ryan, I can see he's writing. Yeah, you can see more actually in one of these Zoom meetings here than you can if you're up at the dais at a council meeting. Ryan's written that one down, and maybe there can be some clarity in terms of, just a second.
Well, what I was just wondering, could we put it back to the Arts Commission to discuss that among themselves and see if they think that would be helpful to them in any way?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to do that and have staff involved in terms of, Ryan and Lena and whoever's, appropriate, to sit down with them and talk about whether there's some changes that could be made in terms of wording, so it's clear in terms of the mission and how they're supposed to be moving forward. Jason, Ryan, yes, before I get to Barb.
Yeah, I know that there's already been some discussion already with the Arts Commission regarding broadening the purpose, and that's what we were hoping to get from council tonight. Is if council wants to add the word culture or some other language in there to clarify their policy intent, that would be really helpful for us to know. And it really is a policy decision from council to direct what commissions and committees do. So that would be helpful.
Thank you, Jason. I have Barb raise her hand, and then Charlotte. Go ahead, Barb.
So I would be in favor of adding culture into that, the title of the Arts Commission. And King County has such a strong arts program, and a lot of his For Culture is another partner that they work with. And in the past, Cindy and I both attended the Washington State Arts. I can't remember what the name of it was, but they have had yearly conferences for the different groups. And I was just wondering, do you hear anything about those being offered again? Ryan, do you hear anything if they're still offering those conferences?
I'm not familiar. I'd turn that back to the Arts Commission or Lana Hoover, our community engagement specialist.
Or I'll look and see what the name of it was, but those were really beneficial because you do get exposed to more, or it just helps improve the programs that we offer. So, but if you're looking for some direction and if they need to broaden their scope, I think adding that culture into it is a good one.
Thanks, Barb. Go ahead, Charlotte.
I'll be even more direct in that I would like to specifically request that they do that. I can understand that they can possibly talk and decide, or we decide. I don't know process-wise, but I would specifically request that we do. Similar to how I'm very excited that you guys brought, sorry, Michael, I was looking at your image on the screen when I say you guys, the Arts Commission expanded to include writing in it. I think that this is one way to keep culture, which is in part the point of arts, on the forefront, and rather than have things get lost in mission statements and value statements. I don't think it's too lengthy to say Arts and Culture Commission or Culture and Arts Commission. I don't care what order, but also just to always have it on the forefront, sort of expand, always keeping that in mind as we work on any type of Arts Commission project and in future budgets and whatnot as you expand, which I think you guys have done a good job. I saw in downtown, the nights on Ryan's, you guys are already doing a good job of it, but it's not just us. You think about future Arts Commissions and new members and whatnot. And I'm specifically requesting that it become part of the name.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte. Go ahead, Lena.
I was just going to respond to Barb's inquiry about the Washington State Arts Commission. If we receive an email, I do, and I forward it on to the commission, but they have not had any really in-person events. They've been highlighting a lot of virtual events that have happened around the state. And backing up, I wanted to kind of commend the Arts Commission about the Chalk Art Festival. We got so many questions about other municipalities that wanted to plan the same kind of event. We had Kent and Olympia, a lot of other cities asking how they could kind of pull off an event like that. So I just kind of wanted to say they did a really great job on that virtual event. But yes, we do pass on those Washington State Arts Commission emails. And then I also wanted to follow up on the concerts. This was the first year, 2020 was the first year that we did the RFP process for the concerts. So I just kind of wanted to say that we did try to do a little bit more of a way to try to reach out to some different groups and areas, and the Arts Commission did a really good job, but this was kind of a learning curve for them as far as the RFP process. We hadn't done that in some time. So I think as we move forward, that will continue to help us reach out to different communities. Obviously, we need to do a great job of making sure people know that they need to apply within the time frame and that sort of thing. But I think that this was a really good start as far as making sure that we were very fair and equitable as far as our application process. And they did have a really good lineup this year. But as we continue to move forward, I think having that policy or that RFP process in place is really going to help us be able to be fair and equitable when it comes to the musicians and concerts that we have. So that's all I wanted to add.
Thank you very much, Lana. Jason, does I take it this the request by Charlotte to change the name, is that something that's codified, would need a change?
Yeah, it is codified. And my recommendation, Mayor, is let staff go back, put together a proposed ordinance. We'll run that back through either committee or study session, as well as run by the Arts Commission. We'll get it back before council next year, early next year.
Okay, thank you. Good discussion and good approach. Go ahead, Patrick.
Thank you. I just wanted to add to that. I'm in support of the change. I do, as that information is being prepared, I would like to see if there's a fiscal impact as far as materials, branding, things like that. And I'm just curious what that turns out to be as part of the overall package.
No problem.
Okay. That's what we'll do. We're looking for some direction. We got it. And we'll continue to move forward, with that direction. Dustin, Emily, and Michael, again, thank you for putting a smile, at least my face this year. You look for those rays of hope and those rays of sunshine, and you guys have been doing it. And Kurt's got his thumbs up there too. And I think the council would all agree. You guys rock. You really do. I cringed. Michael, I was one of those that said, oh my God, we're going to attack that mural on the liquor store. Oh, are we in for it? Man, the positive comments and that have come out of that and finally getting rid of that other one have been, it was unexpected. And so thank you for, sometimes it takes courage. And you just have to move ahead and do it, and you guys did. So thank you again. Nice work. Continue doing it, and look forward to great things next year. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and you three are also welcome to stick around. And again, as I do with everybody, question your judgment if you do, but you're more than welcome. Okay. We've gotten through item number 2, and we have 3 more to go. So that brings us to the 2019 and 20 budget. Jason, you going to kick this off and then give it to Cassandra or what?
No, we'll go straight to Cassandra.
Okay, Cassandra, you're on.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so that was 2 really cool presentations. So I'm hoping that my final budget amendment overview for the 2019-2020 budget is just as exciting. I couldn't even say it with a straight face, so we'll just go right into the PowerPoint. So why are we doing this amendment? Every time we adopt a biennial budget, we want to be sure that we have the opportunity and the flexibility to make amendments as we need to. It gives us the opportunity to ratify all of our previous council actions, revise our forecast to take into account changes in the work plan and the economy. We've seen that especially over this biennium as we've made changes to address the COVID pandemic and other changes. It's also part of our city's overall management structure is to continually, oh, my apologies.
I thought that was just the lead into the PowerPoint.
No, my computer, I just lost my internet. Hold on 2 seconds. Is that better?
That works really well.
Okay. So, again, part of our city's overall management structure, one of the things that we're charged with is always to be monitoring and assessing where our budget is and where we need to make adjustments in order to be the most fiscally conservative we can with our funds. Taking a look at our 2019-2020 biennial budget, we adopted this December of 2018. It was awarded our GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. That's something that we're always really proud of. That is not a gimme award. That is a in-depth, multi-page, criteria-driven review. And it's kind of a big deal. So we're always pretty proud of that. Since we've adopted the budget, we've had 5 amendments. That includes our required mid-biennial budget amendment, as well as an amendment to address impacts of the COVID pandemic. So as we're coming into the 4th quarter of 2020, this is the end of our 2019-2020 adopted biennium. So we are taking this opportunity to review our programs, review our estimates and our budgets, and make adjustments where we need to. The presentation I have tonight is really an overview. We did review this with the Finance and Personnel Committee at the line item detail, and I appreciate that review. When we look at our amendment at a glance, the way I generally put this together, we start off, of course, with our beginning fund balance. This is what was adopted, our adopted revenues. I've summarized in the previous column all of the budget amendments we've had to date, and in FBA is the final budget amendment. And then we separate it out into the various fund categories. What I'd like to do is take a look at each of the funds and highlight the changes that are happening in those funds. And we'll start with the general fund. In the general fund, we're recognizing an additional $151,800 in both revenues and expenditures. This is the increased CARES funding that we received. So that's the revenue portion of it, and then also turning around and appropriating the expenditure portion of that. We'll also be increasing a transfer out to Fund 410. This is our Cemetery Operations Fund. The cemetery operations has seen a pretty significant decrease in their revenues attributed to the COVID pandemic. And so the general fund does need to provide some additional support to that fund to help it be self-balancing at the end of 2020. We'll also be transferring out the general fund portion of the costs that were incurred in 2019-2020 for the Public Works Operations Center design. The general fund portion of this covers streets. Street operations is part of the general fund. And so this project is funded by the general fund for the streets portion, as well as the water, sewer, and stormwater funds. And then we have some funding in our internal assessments. This is increased IT assessment. So this is for information technology. The majority of this amount is coming in from expenses that were incurred to rapidly kind of shift our operations to remote operations. So this would include everything from the software that we need to do our business virtually, to hardware as far as computers, printers, things like that. And then we're reducing the budget $99,000. This is in our chip sealing budget. This was a request from the Public Works Department to defer these funds to 2021 and apply them towards the Sumner TAPS Guardrail project. Moving on, when we look at our special revenue funds, we do need to increase our appropriation to provide the computer for the Downtown Sound project. This isn't something that was originally budgeted. And so this is part of the increased assessment for IT, as we needed to purchase that computer out of the IT fund, and then that gets charged back to the Downtown Sound project. And then we've got changes in our utility funds. This is really the listing of things that are coming out of our utility funds as far as water, sewer, and storm is the culmination of a review that Mr. Dallum did with his staff on where we needed to make adjustments for the work plan. This included increasing our service meter budget. A lot of the service meter budget is really attributed towards the upcoming conversion of our utility billing software from the old Springbrook product to the Munis platform. In order to make that as efficient as possible, we needed to change out a variety of water meters that have kind of been on that list to be changed out for quite a long time, but they were in places that were either not easy to get to or not easy to access as far as not only location, but time of business. It's one of the silver linings of COVID is it's been much easier to access those areas. So we've been taking the advantage and then purchasing the supplies to get those water meters changed out. We have some additional professional services as far as water rights. That's doing some additional research into some historical water consumption as far as the water rights. Some funding in our the increased assessments for the information technology, the Public Works Ops facility, the design portion, And then some capital as far as Thompson and Silver Street. This was a true up of the final project cost, and then some reallocations. So we have a net increase to the water fund of $431,000. After speaking with Mike, he's comfortable that this is absorbed within the current rate structure and there's no impact to our utility rates. When we look at the sewer fund, there's some additional reallocations in supplies and service and our sewer treatment plant upgrade. And then moving some funding over to the Public Works Ops facility and also to offset some increased assessments for our information technology fund. In stormwater, again, some increased assessments for our Infotech fund and our design portion for storm from that Public Works Ops facility. In our enterprise funds, we'll be recognizing the transfer in from the general fund into cemetery operations to help offset some of those revenue losses that we've seen during the COVID pandemic. And then in IT, we have an additional $176,400 in expenditures. That's offset because the information technology fund is an internal service fund. We essentially take that increase and we parcel it out to all of the user funds. And that's what provides the revenue coming in. This is increased operations, again, due to the COVID-19 response, increased software, hardware, and server needs. As we were developing the 2021-22 budget, and we asked our IT department to list out all of the software and all of the hardware that they support, our eyes got really, really big. It's amazing the amount of work that's coming out of that office. And then some additional capital projects. We had some increased costs for our SCADA system over at the treatment plant. That's our monitoring alarm system. So that really is the overview of what's happening as far as the final budget amendment. We'll see that summarized in an ordinance coming up on December the 7th. And I'm happy to answer any questions or dive into any further detail. Again, I want to thank the Finance Committee. They got to listen to the detailed version of this that goes line item by line item. That takes a while. So happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Cassandra. Okay, first up, Patrick, go ahead.
I just want to thank Cassandra and Jeff and everybody for all the information throughout the year. I know this is Cassandra's favorite time of year with budget and finishing up audit and every spreadsheet she can think of, but it's really empowering to us as council members, I think, to get all of those details, especially during the biennial and mid-buy budget cycles. And I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Barb. You got to unmute yourself, Barb.
Mute, unmute. Anyway, on the CARES dollars, the 151,800, was that the maximum that the city could apply for and receive, or is that the maximum that they were able to justify, charging?
So we actually received about $445,000. That's the total amount that the city received. We recognized the first portion of that, approximately $300,000 and some change, on the budget amendment that we did for the COVID pandemic. After that budget amendment was adopted, the allocations were increased. So what's the $151,000 included on the final budget amendment is to recognize that increase that was funded. And we have really, where those funds are going are on increased costs that the city has incurred as far as PPE, as far as some unfunded employee leave that was directly attributable to COVID, and a variety. We just issued 28 restaurant grants, as well as some additional funding for some of our social agencies.
Okay, good. All right, thank you.
Any other council members, comments, questions? Wow. It looks like you have covered it, Cassandra, like you normally do.
Get a hold of me.
like you normally do. And again, I appreciate the Finance Committee going over all the fine details, of the changes that are needed. So anyway, we'll see this at the next regular council meeting, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Hey, thank you. That takes us to item number 4, which is the COVID-19 emergency declaration and confirmation of rules and regulations. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just get this thing going here. All right, back on March 12th of this year, Mayor Pugh declared a state of emergency in the city of Sumner related to the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Pursuant to city code, the mayor is vested with the vast power to respond to the emergency, including the ability to make and issue rules and regulations. Once he makes these rules and regulations, council has the duty to then ratify them, and council did that on March 16th. The rules were then amended twice more, once on April 13th and June 2nd, and the mayor updated them one last time on November 16th of this year. The amended rules address new guidance from the state and local health officials, clarify federal leave laws, and current CDC guidance. Additional provisions were added to temporarily amend our special event and temporary use code provisions. So the full copy of the amended rules and regulations is included in your packet. I will hit a couple highlights in this presentation. Going back to our reopening framework, it's the exact same framework that we've used before. The changes are listed in red. So if you look at the City Hall access, we are still closed under the governor's Safe Start program. The City Hall cannot open to the public until phase 3. We are currently in phase 2, although if you look at the numbers, we should be in phase 1. So what we are doing is we are remaining open on an appointment basis. Currently in phase 2, or prior to November 16th in phase 2, we were open by appointment Monday through Thursday from 9 to 2. With the recent case surge, the mayor, upon my recommendation, decided that we should actually limit those appointment hours a little bit. So we're adding some language in our pandemic response procedures that allow more flexibility to, move these hours as needed based on current case counts. Along with that comes the change in staffing. We have all of our staff at City Hall pretty much working remotely. We have a limited number of staff that are able to come in to assist customers. But we also found that the staffing listed in phase 2 was listed as a shall or a floor. And what we feel is necessary is we need to have a little bit more flexibility in that. And we have some recommended staffing, but the mayor and I have the authority to adjust it based on current case counts as well as other needs within the building. Our old pandemic response regulations did not actually require face masks, except for some limited instances where you're dealing with customers. Since then, we all know Labor and Industries and the state has actually required face coverings for all interactions and also all normal daily use. There are some limited exceptions where we allow our employees to not wear a face covering, and that's when they're in an office by themselves. Also, daily health screenings weren't required under phase 1, they are now. We still are operating in a team environment. This is just a reminder of how that's set up. And then when we talk about what are some things we've done recently, we have made some changes to require PPE for all of our employees to comply with labor and industry requirements. We've also installed automatic plumbing fixtures in all of our facilities. Anything we can do to reduce the amount of touch surfaces is important. We are requiring in the new policy that PPE be worn. That was not in the previous policy. And that's something that we need to make sure that we had in there in case we had an employee that didn't want to wear a face covering. We've also clarified leave use requirements for employees that choose not to physically report to work when requested to do so. And there's been several minor language cleanups to clarify the changing guidance. We tried to also make it more generic so we don't have to update the regulations every time the CDC or Department of Health make minor changes to the quarantine and isolation periods. And then the two new provisions that I mentioned, one is for special event permits. Our current code does allow us to deny a special event permit if the entity is not following a health department law, but it's not as clear as that, because that's after the event has started. We need the ability to look at these event permits objectively and decide whether or not they can safely hold the event while meeting the state guidance from either the health department or the CDC. So this is a temporary provision that'll amend our code as long as the emergency declaration's in place. It allows staff and the mayor to withhold a permit request if it's contrary to public health guidance, it's in violation of the governor's order, or when the city or applicant cannot safely accommodate or manage the event in the sole discretion of the mayor. And lastly, this is an exciting one regarding temporary uses. As you know, we have the parklets, but in light of the new restrictions on indoor dining that Governor Inslee put out a couple weeks ago, we felt it was important that we loosen up our temporary use permit regulations going into this. You could only have a temporary use, like a tent, for example, for outdoor seating in 3-week increments, and they could not be extended. So what we are now allowing during the pandemic is if they're an existing establishment, they can have an outdoor seating area, and we will extend those in 3-week increments instead of making them take the tent down after just 3 weeks. So with that, this will be before council next week for ratification, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, council members, any questions, comments? Go ahead, Patrick.
Thank you. Jason, my question is on the allowing tents for existing or established businesses. Do we have any that are in the process or attempting to open that could benefit from that as well?
I am not aware of any restaurants that are currently opening. There is one restaurant that has a sign up, but I don't know when they're actually planning to open. That's in the Fred Meyer complex. It's a barbecue place in the old Yeti Yogurt. But other than that, I'm not aware of any that are.
Sorry, Mini Oscars is running one very successfully right now. They have fully tented and heated. So part of their parking lot is filled up. Anyway, they are taking advantage already of using part of their parking as an outdoor tented space.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood Councilmember Reed's question. Were you asking about businesses that are coming online in the existing language?
Yeah, because the language that, as I understood it, that it was to benefit established businesses, but I'd prefer to see it extended to businesses that are in the process of opening as well, that they'd be able to take advantage of it, because they're already, dying in this process to begin with. And if they're forced to use some kind of timeline to open, that they have the same opportunity.
I think they would under their legislation, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I would assume if they are in the process, they have a business license, they're going through the permit process, I would consider them existing.
Okay. That's what I wasn't clear about. I took it to mean like somebody that's already doors open and in operation.
No, I think we're going to apply this as liberally as we can.
No, that's all I'm asking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
it's a good point, Patrick.
Yeah.
But I think it should be, like Jason, as liberal as possible.
Yeah, because if anybody's still looking at the uncertainties of the next 6 months or a year or 2 years, and they're still considering opening something, I would hope that, let's say they apply for a license tomorrow, that they'd still be able to take advantage of it as part of their open process in trying to get the doors open.
Yeah, and I think the way it's written was really to protect against a not even a food truck, but more even like I'm going to open up a barbecue in a tent in the parking lot. Right. That's what it's trying to
I'm
prevent.
thinking more physical location based. If somebody's looking to open something up anytime in the next 6 months or a year, and they need some flexibility on being able to do that, that's, as long as it has the flexibility in it to do that, I'm fine with it.
Thanks, Patrick. Other council member questions, comments? Is it generally a thumbs up that we should move forward and do this? I take it. This isn't a vote, it's just an indication. Okay, Jason, looks like yes. So we will see this next week again?
Yeah, it'll be next week.
Okay, cool. Man, we're just barreling along now. Okay, through item number 4, and we're on to item number 5, which is the council vacancy process. I'll turn it back to Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, Councilmember Peterson has announced that she will be leaving her seat after next week's meeting. So it's time to go over the process that council has set forth to reappoint her vacant seat. So the reappointment process is covered under RCW 35A12 as well as RCW 4212. And then on top of that, council has passed as part of their rules under resolution number 1518, the process that you will go through to fill this seat. So I'm going to go through each step of the process here. First off, just to remind you what the qualifications are to be an elected official in Sumner. You must have continuously resided within the Sumner city limits for a minimum of 1 year prior to appointment, and you must be a registered voter within the city. So it is a 5-step process, and it must be completed within 90 days of the vacancy. If it is not filled within 90 days, the county council is required to appoint a replacement. So the first step is to advertise. Staff's recommendation is that we start advertising for this on December 7th. And under your rules, we're required to advertise this on our website, the newspaper of record, and also posted notice at City Hall. If you haven't been by City Hall recently, we are doing our public notices. They are posted on the window just outside the council chambers. We're also suggesting that we do a direct mailing to all addresses. It won't fall in line with our normal newsletter mailing, so we're talking about doing a direct mailing postcard to all addresses within the city. And we'll also do some social media posts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Our goal is to start advertising 1 week prior to the prior to the application window opening. So under your rules, applications are due 30 days from the date of posting. So if we open it on December 14th, they would be due January 12th at 5 p.m. The application, supplemental questions, and resume are required. And then endorsements, letters of reference, or other materials will not be accepted. Applications and supplemental material will then be distributed to the mayor and council and then posted electronically following the PDC rules for disclosure. This is where I need some input from council. What I did here is I listed the application supplemental questions from the last time we had a vacancy, which was in 2018. And as you can see here, there was 4 supplemental questions that applicants were asked to respond to in writing, and they'd have 2 pages worth of response space. So I'll just read these out real quick, and then maybe we can open up the floor, Mayor, for some discussion on this. What is your vision for our city and community? What are 3 highest priorities and or issues you believe the city needs to address? And then how would you propose the city address these? What strengths would you bring to the council? And then number 4, explain your current and past community involvement and or service on city, nonprofit, or public boards, committees, task forces, or commissions, and how this has contributed to the Sumner community. And then how is this relevant to the position of Sumner City Council member?
Okay, thank you, Jason. Okay, this is read off those 4 in terms of supplemental questions. Input from council members. Go ahead, Kathy.
I think it looks good. I think if we had an electronic reader board, we could have advertised this on that. Just saying. But these look good.
Kathy, realize I do have the ability to mute you.
Thank you. Please do.
Okay, we have one person. Go ahead, Cindy.
I'm still happy with those questions. I think that last time when people answered those, it gave us a pretty good view of who the persons were and what they were all about. So I am happy with the 4 questions that we asked them on the application.
Okay, other council members, go ahead, Barb.
Yeah, I agree. And are they going to be doing these verbally or in writing?
These questions are responded to in writing. In the next slide, we'll go over the ones you get to ask in person and the process that we're proposing to handle that.
I think they're a good set of questions.
Thanks, Barb. Okay, other council members? Go ahead, Charlotte.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm trying to remember what's on the biographical questions again that we asked. Like, I know we had like name, address. I don't recall. So I have a question that's probably more for staff, unless council, because it may not. Do we need or should we have a question about asking someone to identify potential conflicts of interest?
That is always an issue that we typically address as we get further in the process. I don't know if Ms. Marquez is still with us. It looks like she is.
So probably not necessary at this point. Like, this is preliminary. That's fine. Okay.
And to answer your first question about the application, it is in the packet. The questions that are on there are very basic. I could pull it up here on a separate screen, but it's really
I read it. I just don't have multiple screen going on. I'm just trying to remember. But it was like I read it last Friday or something.
Yeah, it's not much. It's name, address, and contact information, phone, email. And then they have to sign that they, we lived here more than a year. I'm a registered voter.
And then we get to when it's one-on-one, or not one-on-one, but council and interviews, then we get to ask follow-up questions. So this is not the full extent of
And that's what I think Jason's going to go into next.
Correct.
Okay, then I'm fine with these written ones.
So after the written responses are received, it moves on to the next phase, which is the interview. That is scheduled for January 25th, 2021. Per your rules, it needs to be held at a special council meeting, and the order is set by random ballot. And last time we did this actually at the meeting, I believe we drew names out of a hat to get that random ballot. The applicants not being interviewed may be asked to leave the room, but are not required to because it is an open public meeting. And then the questions are provided in advance, and I'll get to that on the next screen. What staff is proposing because of COVID-19 is that we pre-record the interviews, and then we'll do the random ballot at the council meeting, show those recorded responses, and then allow council members to ask follow-up questions at that time. We're proposing that because we really have no easy way to ask the applicant to not be in the room during the interview. And I think we can all agree that sometimes when you are listening to somebody else speak about and answer the same questions you're going to answer, it may set up an unfair advantage to each applicant. So that's our proposal. The interview questions that we used last time were, why do you want to serve on the city council? What experiences, talents, or skills do you bring to the council and community that you would like to highlight? And what do you wish to accomplish if appointed to the Sumner City Council? There are some similar overtones to the written supplemental questions. I believe that was intentional last time, but I'm open to suggestions or any recommended changes that council would like to do on these interview questions.
Okay. questions, thoughts about what Jason just went over in terms of the interview questions? I can see people thinking about it. Wow. Okay, Charlotte, you moved from one side of the screen to the other. I'm going to call you and then I'm going to go to Patrick. Go ahead.
So I guess going back to the other slide, it was suggested or implied that the verbal questions have to be identical for each candidate. And to me, it would make sense that the interview questions would be an opportunity to follow up on the written responses that we'd already received, because the limitations in the written responses, we may have questions that pertain to that individual. So I can't tell from this if you're suggesting that we are restricted, like, are these additional verbal ones, and are we restricted to these, or we still get to actually interview individual candidates?
So per your rules, you have to review their supplemental questions, and then you have the set oral questions that you would normally ask. And we give those to the candidates beforehand. So on the application, these questions are actually listed, like during your interview, you're going to be asked these questions. Now, after you ask these set questions, council has the opportunity to ask any other follow-up questions they desire, either based on the written supplemental request, the questions, or the oral interview questions.
Thank you. That answered my question about the questions.
Yeah.
A lot of questions.
Good, Charlotte. Okay, thanks. Go ahead, Patrick.
Thank you. I'm not sure I understood the pre-recorded portion on the interview. Because I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. Can you break that down a little bit more?
Sure, absolutely. So last time we did this, we asked all of the candidates to wait outside of the council chambers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a voluntary thing. They don't have to do that, but all of them complied. And then they came in one at a time and responded to these 3 interview questions. So what staff is proposing is, instead of putting everybody in one Zoom room for these interviews where they get to listen to everybody, pre-record the questions, because we don't have a way technology-wise to pull them in and out of the room to make sure that they're not, listening in on, and maybe, hearing how other candidates responded to those questions. It's really a preference of council if they want to limit that or not.
So does that mean that the candidate would be recorded answering the basic interview questions, and then that would be played for us to then dive deeper if necessary, or to ask clarifying portions?
Exactly.
With the person live at the time?
Exactly.
Okay.
So we'd still do a random ballot on the 25th and take the, however many recordings we have and put them in that order. You would watch that and then be able to immediately ask that candidate any follow-up questions to either their written or oral responses.
And the purpose is so somebody can't sit there, let's say they draw last, they can't, monitor the answers and responses and things like that prior to them going up.
Exactly. It gives you a baseline for everybody with their responses to these 3 questions.
Okay. That helps. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Other questions, comments, council members? Okay. So what I'm getting out of this is that up to this point, Jason, people are comfortable with the process that you've put together. And so why don't we move on to, okay, what's next after that?
Okay. So you go through the interviews, and then at the exact same meeting, you start the nomination process and the appointment process. So before we call for nominations, you have the option to do an executive session to discuss the qualifications of the applicants. No straw voting or anything like that can be done in executive session, but you can meet privately to discuss the qualifications. And then the mayor will call for nominations. And at that point, council members can nominate applicants to be appointed, and no second is required. So each of you could name as many people as you want that are on there. There's no limit to saying that you can only do one. You could each nominate 2 or 3 if you wanted. And then nominations are closed by a motion, a second, and then a majority vote of the council. And then we move on to the voting side. Voting is done by roll call votes, and appointment requires a majority vote. You may vote as many times as needed to obtain a majority vote. And in the case of a tie, the mayor casts the deciding vote. At any point during the voting process, you can enter back into an executive session to discuss qualifications. Once again, no straw voting in there. And then if there's no majority, council may postpone the election to a date certain. And that is only if a majority vote is not received that night. So you'd actually have to vote, not get a majority before you could postpone it. And then the new council member would be sworn in at the next regular meeting on the 1st.
Jason, just a second. Charlie has a question. Go ahead, Charlie.
Is it majority of council members or majority of votes posed? Like, in other words, so if it was like 3-1-1-1, do the 3 automatically get it, or does it have to be majority of count? Like, does it have to be like 4-2?
You know, your rules do not specify that. I would assume that that is a majority. So if you have 6 people voting, you need 4, because 3 is not a majority. 3 is only half. And I see, thank goodness, the city attorney is turning on her camera. Make sure I got it right.
I just have a squeaky baby in the background. I apologize. So it would be a majority vote of the whole council, meaning 4.
Thank you.
You're
welcome. I got it right.
Good answer, Jason, and good confirmation, Andrea. Okay. Other questions the council has of the voting process? Okay, Jason?
Councilmember Hochstetter had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Jason, would you go back to the, where we have the executive session? Yeah, okay, right there. I'm in favor of an executive session. I know it says optional there, but I think that is necessary or very helpful for us to come up with nominations. And so I am in favor of the executive session. It's hard not to have a little bit of inner council discussion before we come up with a nomination, so.
Just want to be clear, though, the executive session would only talk about qualifications of the candidates.
Correct.
Yeah, but
yeah, no, I hear you, Cindy. I just saying that that's, you know, but that's what it's limited to, and what you do with that information later on is something else. Got it.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I'm just trying to unraise my hand because that was what I was going to say. So we're good. I remember from last time that we couldn't talk about anything else but qualifications. So that's all I was going to say. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, that's what I said. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you. When would the 90 days be up? Would it be from December 14th? So like February 14th or something?
It would be from the date that the vacancy becomes effective. So the 7th of December.
7th of December. Okay. So we really would only have another week or two. If we didn't make our decision on the 25th, we'd have to make a decision at the 8th of February, probably.
No, you'd actually have until March 7th.
March, okay.
March 7th-ish. I'd have to count actual days. So.
Okay, Jason?
So what I'm hearing is everybody is comfortable with the questions that were that we used last time, both for the supplemental and the verbal questions. I'm also hearing that you're good with the timeline that staff is proposing, which means we would start advertising next Monday and actually open the application period on the 12th. And then right now, I do want to run one last thing by everybody. We were only planning on posting the applications online. That seems to be effective, but I want to make sure everybody's okay with that. They could, if somebody wanted an application, they could obviously contact Michelle, who could email one directly to them if they couldn't find it online, or even mail it to them.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
Do our notifications and other places that we publicize it, does that at least include the link to get them online?
Any social media post would, the postcard does, the newspaper typically does as well. It at least lists our website, and it's going to be front and center on our website. So.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, other questions, comments? Go ahead, Cindy.
Would it be possible for us to have a few printed out and have them at the Sumner Library where, because they can bring things out to people, because there are people without printers if they were to need that.
I don't want to commit the library to something right now. If you are concerned about a hard copy, I would rather put an envelope outside our building where they can pick them up. If council's really concerned about that.
I think that would solve the problem. You could maybe tuck it in the corner by the utility drop so it didn't get wet or something. And then your postcards, are you mailing them to voters or to every homeowner?
Every address, just like we do our newsletter.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte, was
Oh,
that
wait
a
a
hand?
minute. Wait a minute. What, Jason, will it be colorful and noticeable?
Yeah, and it won't be a standard small postcard. If you've gotten our, that's a good question, right? So if you have a pet, you know, when you get your pet license renewal, it'll be that size. So it's a half of an 8.5 by 11.
Okay,
and it'll be colored.
Okay.
We got Charlotte next, and then Patrick. Go ahead, Charlotte.
That question was so apropos from our Arts Commission council member that we have. Oh gosh, and now I've lost track. Oh, the question I have, will people be able to, I didn't think about it until Cindy asked her question, but with it being posted online, can people fill it out and submit online, or do they actually have to print, go through the arduous process of printing and either handwriting or typing and sending it in?
They can send it in electronically. So it will make it a fillable form.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. Perfect. Thank you.
Go ahead, Patrick.
I was just going to mention on the distribution for the postcards, a way to save a little money on that, since one of the requirements is that they're a registered voter, to only send them to the registered voters.
And that's something we could look into. We are a bit time bound, as you know. We already have a list for the newsletter, but yeah, if we can get a registered voter list only, we could do that. But we also don't know who's living in their household.
It is, but average cost is what, 55-60 cents a pop times a few thousand. That could add up pretty quick.
Yeah, we have a bulk mail account, so we thankfully don't pay that much.
Yeah, my thought is cast a wide net. I mean, and it gets out there, and you know, if they don't qualify, they don't qualify. But I hate to start parsing it down. That's just my own opinion on the thing. Charlotte, you dropped your hand. Go ahead, Melanie.
That was my comment as well. People can still register, right? But what I thought I just heard Jason say was that we are mailing it to every address, not to just the newsletter folks.
to be clear though, it's the same list, Councilmember Peterson. Every address in Sumner gets a newsletter.
Oh, okay, great.
So same list.
Perfect.
Okay, other comments?
If you go to the next page, there is the application, that we were sent in our packet, and it shows like there's an electronic, email to Michelle and stuff like that.
Good. Okay, Jason, looks like you're gonna bring it up.
Yeah, it'll take longer if everybody's
Yeah.
happy.
That's
Look in
right.
your packet if you have questions.
Yeah, look in your packet, it's there. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you everyone for your input, and I appreciate getting to everybody out there through the mailing. It's something that staff had added in compared to the last process, and I think that's the right thing to do, reach out to everyone. Okay, you've gotten through all 5 of them, and you did it in let's see 2.5 hours. And an FYI, the final is 23-17 Seahawks over the Eagles. Anyway, so maybe it was due to the fact that you were all diligently meeting here that got them the win, or not. Okay, city administrator report, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll keep it real short. Cassandra already mentioned it a little bit, but just to follow up on something I brought up last time we met, we were able to give out $2,800 to 28 different businesses. So that's total $78,400. We also were able to allocate $5,000 to the food bank, as well as $5,000 to the Puyallup Sumner Chamber of Commerce. As a reminder, this is CARES Act money. And what we did is we shifted some of the allowable city expenses back into the budgets that they came from to make room to do this last minute allocation in response to the latest restrictions. So many very happy businesses to get that $2,800 check, at least gives them some breathing room. So that's it, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I haven't seen it yet. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it yet, but Jason, is that going to be in the Sumner Connects or some other way to celebrate that too, to show people what we did with it?
We can certainly add that. I think it might actually be is it in this week's Mayor?
I think it is.
I think it is.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it is, Patrick. Too much stuff lying around, but I think good suggestion, and I think it is. But if it isn't, we'll try to make sure it does. Okay. Okay, agenda setting. Both the meeting calendar agenda and the committee meetings. Any issues, problems, things need to be covered by somebody? Go ahead, Patrick.
So we had the finance committee on standby to, normally it's canceled in December, but we were, in case something popped up that we needed to address. I don't know of that. And I see Cassandra's still on. I don't know if we still need to keep that or if that's one we can go ahead and cancel.
Been canceled on the calendar.
So right now we're showing it as canceled pending anything that came up last minute.
Yeah. So we're okay. So we don't need to do anything further. It's just that. Okay, great. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, good clarification. Okay.
I believe the Public Safety Committee is also canceled because the chief said there wasn't really that much on there.
That's
I'm not
correct.
gonna argue
We
with
canceled it today.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with the chief. Okay. Anything else that's being canceled? Oh, no, Cindy?
Public Works will meet. I can't remember if it's Tuesday or Wednesday. Charlotte?
It's tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow at 4:00. Public Works. We never slow down, never.
You believe that stuff that Dahlem tells you. Okay. That it? Nothing else needs in terms of agenda setting. Okay, nice. Patrick?
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, I apologize. I've had my camera off a lot. I've been standing most of the meeting today. I had physical therapy earlier and I'm enjoying the fruits of that labor now. It's been pretty uncomfortable to set today.
Been there, done that. I appreciate what you're going through, and we won't call it a standing meeting. Anyway, let's see. Barb, are you waving to somebody else, or are you trying to? No. Okay, just checking. Trying to follow the various body cues and the hands being raised. It gets to be interesting at times. Okay. Thanks, Patrick. That being the case, this meeting is adjourned at 8:34. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the evening. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.